Okay, in today's video, we're going to be taking a look and field stripping this Mosin Nagant. This particular model is an M91 made in the Tula Armories. It's 1942, and it became a Finnish capture at some point after that. I'll take a quick look at the markings here. You can see the T inside the triangle here. That's the Tula markings. Then up on top of that, you have an SA and a square, and that is the Finnish markings when it was refurbed. Okay, that being said, first thing we want to do is check safe the gun. We're going to lift our bolt up, depress the trigger, hold the trigger in, and your bolt will slide right out. At this point, we can take a look inside here, check our feed path, check our chamber. There's no bullets in there. Down here on the floor plate of our magazine, slow tab, pull it towards the trigger. The floor plate and the follower will come down. Now if you squeeze these two together, that'll come right out. This gun is check safe. There's no bullets in here. It's safe to work on. Now I'll stand back so you can get a look at this whole firearm. Being the M91 model, it is 51.5 inches long. Now this particular one has the two-piece stock with the finger joints. Beautiful tiger striping on this firearm, just beautiful. Now it is chambered in the 7.62 by 5.4R. The R stands for rimmed. On the end of the bullet, it has a kind of an extended rim. Okay, that being said, now the gun is safe. To dismantle it, the first thing we're going to do is come down here to the cleaning rod and simply unscrew it. Bring it down, just put it out of the way. Now on this model, it has two barrel bands, a rear and of course the front. Now the barrel bands on this particular one have two retaining screws on each one, and then two screws that you need to loosen to get the band off. So let's go ahead and remove those. Now the funny thing is, with the barrel band screw right there, usually it's lefty-loosey and righty-tighty. These ones are reversed. You turn it to the right to loosen it. Okay, now we'll come to the front barrel band. Same thing, take out the two little screws first. Yours may not have two screws, it may just have one. Again, righty-loosey on the barrel band itself. Okay, at this point, we can pull off the barrel bands. Well, this one, it can come right off, right over the front sight. Then we can lift off our top handguard. Simply pull it out. And our rear barrel band, we can't get it off yet unless we remove the front sling. Now the screws on the swing swivel are normal. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Pull that out of the way, get our sling out of the way, and we can pull off that barrel band. Now we might as well come back here and take off the rear sling swivel. Okay, now at this point what we're going to want to do is we only have 2 screws for a takedown. We got a rear takedown screw here, slotted, and a front takedown screw here in the front end of the magazine. So we'll go ahead and take out the forward takedown screw. Okay. Come back here, take out the rear screw. Good to go. Once you get both of those out, the trigger guard magazine assembly will drop out. Stick that aside. At this point in time, it's pretty easy. You can just push up your receiver and your barrel. That'll come apart from the stock. Stick the stock over here. And there we have our trigger, our receiver, and of course our barrel. Okay, we'll stick this aside. Okay, now let's take a look at disassembling the bolt. Grasp it by the bolt body, grab the cocking piece, give it a quick turn just to the left. At this point in time, the guide rod extractor and the bolt head will pull straight off. Give this a little twist, and it'll come right off. See, there's a little pin kind of thing there and fits in the groove. Only goes on one way. Now we're going to grab our body. We want to take our firing pin out. We're going to grab the guide rod connector. I'm just going to start unscrewing it. Now when you start seeing the shoulder come out there, it's getting close to being released, so just be mindful of the compression of your spring. Okay, there's our firing pin and our firing pin spring. Bolt body, cocking piece, of course our guide rod connector, and our bolt head, which contains the extractor in here. So now to assemble the two, we're going to grab the guide rod connector, the bolt head, line up that little groove with that little notch, slide it on, give it a little twist, lock it in place. We'll set that aside for now. We're going to grab our firing pin, put it through the spring. Now at this point, I like to grab a piece of scrap wood, grab the bolt body. I'm going to insert the firing pin in the spring. Then we're going to press down. It's quite a bit of tension. Grab our cocking piece, give it a couple of screws on. That just helps get it started. I guess we can take this piece off for this part. We'll grab our guide rod connector and just tighten it down. Now on mine, I tighten it all the way. I come back and look at the end of the cocking piece. You'll notice there's a line in there on the back of the firing pin. There's also a line on the cocking piece. I'm just going to back it off till the line on the pin matches up with the lines on the cocking piece. Now on most Mosin Nagant bolts, that should set the depth just right so you don't end up puncturing and piercing your primer on your cartridge, and if that happens, you're going to get a whole lot of nasty blowback and quite possibly an injury. So maybe just be mindful where it's set before you take it apart. Okay, now we can grab the guide rod connector again. Grab the bolt head. Again, line up the groove with the tab. Give it a little turn. Grab our bolt body. We're simply going to slide it on. Keeping in mind now, this is going to go right over that tab. And the front here, you see that goes into the recess on the bolt body. Once we get that, simply, I'll show you on camera, simply turn it back. And there we are. Bolt is reassembled, ready to go back in the firearm. Okay. For assembly of the firearm, we're going to grab our stock. Going to grab our barrel receiver setup, drop it in. Put your firearm upside down. Grab your magazine and your trigger guard. Drop it in like that. Then you're going to want to take your front takedown screw, pop it in. Just get it started a little bit. We'll come back to it. Turn it back over, holding this mechanism up. Grab your rear takedown screw. Goes in here. Put in it. Get it started. And just tighten them both up. Now, if you do hear some snoring in the background, that's my lovely Boston Terrier, Luna. She likes to sleep a lot of the day, and being a smushy-faced pooch, she snores a lot. Okay, there's our two takedown screws. Everything's secure in the frame. We'll come back to the bottom, grab our floor plate and the elevator connection. See, we just give it a little squeeze and it opens that up. And inside here, you got the pin. Just drop it onto that pin, release your follower, bring it down, give it a little close over the latch. Just like that. Now we'll come up to the front. We'll take our rear barrel band. There. Slide it on, bring it back. At this point, we could take our little wee screws. One in mine goes through the barrel band right here. Can reinstall that just to get the barrel band in the right position. We'll take our hand guard, slide it under there, come up to the front. We'll grab our front barrel band. Same thing, we'll put it in position. Take the little tiny screw, the one that goes through the hole in the band here, just to set the band position. Okay, now we can tighten up our barrel bands, keeping in mind, left is tight. I don't know why it's reversed, but hey, that's the way they did it. We can now go ahead and do the same on the rear barrel band. We'll just tighten up this little screw right here. Again, left is tight. Go figure. Now we can come back in and put in our other screws that are beside the barrel band. On mine, you can see there's a little screw hole here. I guess those ones just help the bands from slipping forward if they happen to loosen off somehow. Check our other little screw. Make sure she's snugged up. Okay, that one's good. Come to the front barrel band. Same thing. Take our little tiny screw, put it in this little hole, snug it down. Okay, at this point here, we'll go ahead and reattach our sling. Now this is something that the Finns added on when they refurbed them. When it was originally made in the Tula Armory, this plate was not here. It was just a hole through it, and there'd be a leather strap that would come down, and that would tie into your sling. But the Finns decided to add this other attachment. If you notice on the swivel here, one side's a little wider, one end's where the screw goes in. So it just comes through and tightens itself up just like that. Get it started, snug it down. You can just test it, make sure it's tight enough that it doesn't jiggle too much, but has the amount of movement you might want. We'll come down to the rear of the firearm. Okay, come back to the far end here, take our cleaning rod, just put it up inside the little groove here, go all the way, and it just screws in. After I go in finger tight, I like to take a little tool. You can see there's a little hole in the end of the cleaning rod here. I just like to snug it up a little bit more so that it doesn't loosen off while I'm at the range. Good to go. Now lastly, what we're going to want to do is put the bolt back in. Take our bolt. You're going to want to depress the trigger. The bolt will slide in. Now at this point, your gun is cocked. There's two ways you can decock a Mosin Nagant. One, open your bolt, bring it back, squeeze the trigger, go forward. Let go of your trigger, decocked. Another way is when it's cocked. If you want to have a safety on it, pull back your cocking handle, turn it to the left, push it up. That's your safety. If you want to decock it, just pull your cocking handle out all the way, pull your trigger, let go of the cocking handle. It's decocked. Ready to fire. trigger press, back. I prefer this way, it's a little bit easier. Okay, that's pretty much it for the Mosin Nagant M91. I really enjoy this gun. It's very powerful, and being that the Finns had worked on it, it's a very accurate shooter. Like I say, this one was made in 1942, so it's an 80-year-old gun, and it's held up quite well. I love the wood on it. I can't say enough about the tiger striping. When I got this particular firearm, it was really messed up with regards to the barrel. It hadn't been stored properly after shooting corrosive ammunition. About a little bit of work, lots of TLC. I got it cleaned up pretty good. I just always shoot corrosive through it. I have some non-corrosive, but the corrosive is a lot cheaper. That being said, remember, before you work on any firearm, make sure it's not loaded, check safe it, keep it pointed in the safe direction at all times, keep your finger off the trigger, and to follow all state, provincial, and federal laws with regards to transportation and storage of firearms. Please ensure that no one has access to your firearms that is not allowed to. Later.